Hi, it's Miss Bierman. We are going to use our finger weaving, add a couple skills to our toolbox, and transform our finger weaving. I've got a needle here that I'll be using to weave and sew. I've got a piece of mustard yellow yarn. The first thing I'm going to do is thread this through the needle. This is called the eye of the needle. It's the hole. And it can be pretty tricky getting that yarn in through the hole or the eye of the needle without the yarn fraying, splitting, or just in general being difficult. But I do have it in here now. And you can see my string is not attached to the ball of yarn. It is just one piece that I've cut. In fact, it might be a little bit long. I'm going to trim it down so that it's about, I'd say this is about 3 feet right here. I want to connect my finger weaving to make a thicker piece like this. So I'm going to lay it down carefully and take a look. And I notice, I have all these loops, and I feel like I can use my needle to sew it together. So I'm going to give that a try. So I'm going to start down here, and I'm going to find a couple of loops that I want them next to each other, right? I'm going to go across. So I'm just sliding it underneath. Now, as I pull this through, this may want to come out like that. Well, guess what happens if it comes out? You have to put it back in. To keep it from coming out, you have to hang on to it, and I'll show you that in a minute. But now see, it's harder to thread because it's a bit frayed. I'm just going to trim it and make it a little bit less frayed and twist it. Pinch it and get it in there. There we go. I got it. Keep trying. So if you don't want that to pull out, you just want to make sure you hang on to this as you pull it through. Now here, you're going to end up pulling this all the way out if you don't tie it together. So now that I'm at the end, I'm going to go ahead and tie this into a knot. 1 time, 2 times, there. Okay. I've got this little tail here. Don't trim it right up here next to the knot. Your knot will come undone. I'm just going to trim it just a little bit. It's about 1 inch. Then I'm just going to carefully look at this and go through 2 loops. I can't tell you exactly which loops to go through. I can tell you not to do it too far apart. So for example, don't come all the way up here next. Just keep working your way up slowly. Being careful not to let your string get tangled, right? So you can see I pick up 1 loop and then the other. And then I gently pull that through until that loop has mostly disappeared. Don't pull it too tight, don't leave it too loose. I'm going to go up, that's about 1/2 inch. We go through a loop on one side and a loop on the other side. That one went through 2 loops, so I'm going to, there we go. It's got 2 loops. Pull that. Try not to make it too tight or too loose. There we go. Trying to make it match. If my weaving was very tight, maybe I would want to pull that tighter. My weaving is a little looser and loopy. I don't want to lose that quality either. So I'm just going to keep going. Go under 1 loop on one side, 1 loop on the other side. Check your work. Move up about 1/2 inch. Do it again. Okay, you can see how that's looking. So I'm just going to keep going. So I'm just going through one loop on one side, one loop on the other. Notice the loops are on the edges here. I'm not going all the way back to the side or the middle, the outer edge or the middle. I'm going to stay here on the inner edge. One loop and then another loop. Go about half an inch up, under one loop, under the other loop. Gently pulling. I mean, it looks cool as well because I like the way that the mustard yellow yarn contrasts the peach yarn. So under one loop and another. You have to pick the loop. Make sure it's the inner edges. Okay. One loop, then the other. We talked before about, oh, whoops. You know, be careful not to pull this out as you're doing that, because you have to put it back in. And I'm getting pretty close here to the end, and then I have to decide how am I going to tie that off so that it stays together. You can see now that I've gotten to the top here that it looks like a hot dog with mustard. A very bizarre hot dog with mustard. Okay, so I'm going to just do a couple more because I'm almost to the top. And then what I think I'm going to do is use these strings here along with the end of this one to tie it together. So I've got one more loop. I'm sorry, those are two loops. Under one loop and the other. And then I'm pretty close here. I think what makes sense to me is to connect this part and this part. These are the parts that are sort of tied and tighter. So I'm going to go through those as well. That's great. Now, I'm going to tie this off. When I cut my yarn, don't cut it here. Give yourself plenty of yarn to work with to make the tie, the knot. So I think what I can do is tie these two together like so. Yeah, I'm not going to tie them too tight. Okay, and then I can also tie them. I mean, they're all tied now. I'm going to leave that because I don't know what I'm going to do next. But this is tied, and now I have a whole new shape, and then I can decide what to do next. Enjoy.